I've trained over 15,000 coaches to turn their passion into profitable businesses. These are the most common questions they ask me. These questions often can make or break your business. The first question that I get is, my coaching can serve everyone. How do I do this? Well, first, I want to burst your bubble. There is no way your coaching can help everyone. If you believe that, it is probably because you haven't coached enough or not at all. Because when you start coaching anyone, you realize that people and cultures and their problems and work changes the format in how their problems are showing up, and not every coach can help every person. There's a particular kind of person that you will be able to help mostly, and the other individuals that would not fall in that category, you can believe that you're helping them, but you're not. You are just being a little bit better than them or being able to move them a little bit along, but not necessarily create phenomenal success for them. Let me give you an example, because I know it's a little hard pill to swallow for most coaches, because they truly do believe they can help everyone. So I was on a podcast, and the person that was doing the podcast, phenomenal person, said, Ajit, I don't believe 20-year-olds can coach anyone. And I see these 20-year-old coaches everywhere. So I asked them, okay, let me tell you a story of one of my students. Her name is Isla. I remember her name explicitly because my daughter's name is Isla. And this Isla, though, is from the Middle East, and she was a 20-year-old girl. She was in my certification program, and she was getting certified. Here's the problem she was trying to solve. She lives in the Middle East, and in the Middle East, the country that she lives in right now is going through a season where women are trying to find their voice, especially young girls. They're trying to get comfortable with the body image that they have had and the change in society, and how to really get comfortable or not comfortable with it. Now, think about it. There's a person in the culture that is Middle East, body image, and really young girls that we're talking to. Do you think a girl that is experiencing this right now is better, more capable of helping this particular person, or some white lady in Middle America? Or whatever that is that your regular thinking of a coaches or a seasoned coaches. You see, when we think of life from the container of I can help everyone, we forget what everyone even means. You could help a grand category of people. I'm not saying you don't. But the more time you take in defining what that category of people are, the more time you will take in actually building a serious, legitimate career. So, my invitation for you is stop telling yourself this lie that you can help everyone. You can't help everyone. You can help some people really, really well. And it's mostly about who is it that you can help really, really well. We're not talking about a marginal gain or a marginal increase in performance or a marginal outcome from where they are in their lives. We're talking about significant change. We're talking about somebody going from, I don't know if I'm good at this, to going, I know I can absolutely, with 100% certainty, help this person. So when you are saying I can help everyone, really ask, can you? And if you think it is everyone, then put yourself in different positions. Oh, can I help this particular person who has this particular situation, or that person with that particular situation? Now, it doesn't mean that your methodology may not apply to everyone. It probably will, and that's amazing for you. But what we are really talking about is when you are with someone, the energetic bond that you have, the camaraderie you have, the relationship and the understanding of what they're going through that you have, because you have some sense of understanding of where they are in life and what is it that you can really do to help them, changes completely based on the selection of the person that you are deciding to work with, because they are most closely related to your personal experiences, or most closely related to the experiences you have had in life. This is why I also want to offer you a way to really decide who should I work with first. Right? I'm not saying one day, yes, your message may inspire many people, and that's a very brilliant and amazing thing. And I'm certain that will happen very, very soon. But before that, as you're starting your journey, what if you focused your attention to a small group of people that you can 10x their results in half the time? So if I was to work with them and I took 10 months to get that result, you could get it in 5 or 3 months or 1 month, hell, whatever that time frame is. What if we invited ourselves into that conversation and say, instead of being a little bit good to a client, I would be phenomenal to a client? And if that would be the approach, or that's the answer we're trying to get, let's see what are some of the filters that we must consider for us to be able to get that result for our client. The first filter, or the first question that I want you to ask is, do I have any experience in this field? Have I done this work for myself? Have I done this work for somebody else before? Have I had a close interaction with people who are going through this particular work or the particular result that I'm going to derive for my client? And let that be the first filter. If you've had no direct experience, and by that I mean direct experience of helping someone or going through your own experiences or being in an environment that was similar to that experience, ask yourself, is this something where I can truly create a big change? And if the answer is no, maybe that's not the field you want to start with. Once you have recognized that there are areas in your life or in the world that you've experienced or somehow has been closely experienced with, the second is to ask yourself, do I know any people who are currently experiencing it or are in this field? The reason why we ask this follow-up question is because while that you may have had an experience of something, sometimes because that was so internal to you, you don't necessarily know what's the language that the other person is speaking. How is it that they relate or not relate to that topic or the way that topic is expressed for you? Right? And if you don't understand the language of your potential client, you will not be able to communicate with them in a way where it really lands. So, second question to ask is, do I know someone? Do I know someone in this field? Do I have access to someone in this field? Can I at least get in the room with someone that is in this field so I can at least get an understanding of how people speak who have these problems, but it's not me. And that brings me to the third filter. The third filter is this community willing to pay? I know this, my heart centered entrepreneurs get triggered by this question, but what you're building is a coaching business. This is not, unless this is a not for profit organization that you're building, and then kudos to you, but if this is a career choice you're making, you will need to pay the bills. And if you will need to pay the bills, you'll need to earn something to pay the bills. And if you need to earn something, the clients that are going to enroll with you need to be able to pay you. So ask yourself, this category of clients that I want to serve, do they have money? Are they willing to pay money to solve this one problem that I want to solve for them? Are they going to want to actually solve these problems that I am wanting them to solve? Because sometimes what I've found is we as coaches are so passionate about a topic that we want to solve these problems that nobody else is finding important enough or urgent enough for them to solve. And because it's not urgent and important to them, they end up not wanting to solve it. And because they don't want to solve it, now they don't want to pay for it. Because they don't want to pay for it, they don't want to enroll with us. And now we think we are not a good coach. That's not what's happening. It is you're picking the wrong field, you're picking the wrong market, you're picking the wrong person that you could be working with and should be working with. Just remember that the more you think that your coaching can help everyone, the less you're actually helping anyone. Another reason to reconsider this predicament, this perspective of you can help everyone is asking yourself, how much energy can you put into any field at any time? Say you are a full-time coach and you have 10-hour days because you like to work really hard, really extra, and now you have six different type of people that you're helping. If you're helping six different type of people, you have six different energies that you're working with every single day. You're trying to find clientele in six different fields. You're trying to come up with packages and pricing based on six different fields, six different problems for six different packages. How much more energy is that requiring versus you deciding, I help these kind of people in this way in this much time with this methodology? It's significantly easier for your energy expense on a day-to-day basis to pick one field and really, really get good at it, really become successful at it. And once you become successful at it, my invitation is, if you want to expand, hire team members, hire other coaches that can deliver this product for you. And then you can move on to the next field, and then the next field, and then the next field. The second question that I get is, I know what I want to do, but somehow I'm not able to do it. And it's a common question, and it tends to come from three different gaps that a person may have. The first gap is called the how-to gap. The how-to gap is you know what to do, but you don't know how to do it. And because of that, when you're about to start, you go, I don't know what to do, because you just don't know what needs to be done there. You kind of have an idea what your focus is. You have an idea, oh, I should do, let's say, for example, social media marketing, but you don't know how to do it. You go, oh, I want to do ads, but you don't know how to do it. So you have a how-to gap, which can be fulfilled by taking the right programs, reading the right books, talking to the right people, or hiring the right coach that can help you also understand the how-tos. The second gap is what I call the motivation gap. The motivation gap comes often when your goals are inspired by somebody else's life. So you looked at somebody else's life, you love how they present, you love their social media feed, you love when you met them, you love their lifestyle, you love their family, you love their kids, whatever it might be. And so now you've created this desire list in your head and you really want to get it, but it's not come from you. It's come from somebody else's life. Now, when you get your desire list or your motivation from somebody else's life, it often doesn't have what is the most important thing in creating a great life, which is your heart. You have intellectualized the beauty of somebody else's life, but your heart doesn't really speak the same language. It speaks the language of what would you really love. So instead, if you feel like right now, hey, I have a motivation gap because, well, I'm inspired by this person's presence or this person's social media or this person's financial benefits, I want you to ask yourself, did that come from your heart? If the answer is no, maybe you're suffering from what is called a motivation gap, that you're just not motivated to create it because your heart never spoke the truth. It was your intellectual mind that was telling you how to copy somebody else because you never gave your heart a chance. That brings us to the third gap, and the third gap is the accountability gap. The accountability gap is where researchers found that about 60-70% of the world are actually more likely to do something if somebody else was holding them accountable. 60 to 70% of us would not do things that we truly want if somebody else was not holding us accountable, which is where our problem lies. Sometimes we are in our silos, we're in our own bubbles. We go, okay, I'm going to go create this business, but we are not having anybody else look at it. So we don't feel accountable to doing what we know we should be doing. And because of that, we actually end up not doing what we are doing or what we should be doing. And that creates what is called the accountability gap. So ask yourself, are you suffering from accountability gap? Do you need somebody, a coach, a trainer, a friend, if nothing else, that can hold you accountable to doing what needs to be done? Let me give you an example from my own life, right? So the first gap, the how-to gap, often happens when I'm starting something new, a new project, a new business. And more often than not, I will hire a coach and a trainer in that field right off the bat. Or I will read 5 to 7 books in that field if I can't find the right coach or the trainer in that field. So the first gap that I fill is the how-to gap. Once I fill the how-to gap, I ask myself if the goals that I have or the dreams that I have for this new thing that I'm doing, is it coming from me or am I seeking inspiration from other people? And sometimes when I notice that I'm seeking inspiration from other people, I don't disengage with it, but I bring awareness to that this might not be my final motivation. This might not be my dream. This might be me trying to understand what's my dream. So I listen to a lot more of what's most congruent to me in the moment and keep moving towards that direction so I don't fall in the trap of my motivation gap. And lastly, more likely than not, I will hire a team member or a coach to hold me accountable when I'm pursuing something that's difficult. I hire team members like a trainer for a fitness routine or somebody who I have put on payroll to do a particular task. So I feel accountable to them because I must now deliver my side so they can do their job well. Or I would go ahead and simply hire a coach that can keep me accountable if it's a very personal project because I don't really need a team member for, say, something I want to do in my relationship or in my parenting skills or my parenting projects. The third most common question that I get is I want to post on social media, but every time I try to do it, I freeze. What should I do? The first question to ask always when you are wondering about social media is why do you need to do social media? What's the big play here? Why is it that you need to do social media? And often the answers are twofold. One is because I want to generate revenue from it. And the second is because I want fame. I want to be popular. I want attention from social media. The first is to know why you're doing it because your actions will change based on why you are doing social media, right? I have seen people who say I'm doing it for revenue and do absolutely social media content that was purely for attention. I've seen people do vice versa too. There's a friend of mine who does social media for attention and then correlates it, try to correlate it with revenue. And of course, it never correlates because when what you do for attention, what you do for revenue are two very different things. So first question to ask yourself is, why am I doing social media? What's the end goal? How would I know that I was successful at what I just did? Right. So that's the first thing. Once you've identified that, ask yourself, at what point in the journey do you freeze? Say somebody goes, and this is a common thing that I hear, is, I just don't like how I look on social media. Well, then don't post your look. See, habits, a new habit, a difficult thing, a discomfortable thing, or an uncomfortable thing in our life is often takes time and patience to build. So if you don't like how the camera looks on you, it's not just because I said it, you will post it, right? You will continue to doubt yourself, and it's really not creating any forward momentum for you, because all you're doing is recording that video and saying this is crappy and not post it. And then recording it again and then say this is crappy and not post it. So you're not making any forward progress. When something like that happens, my invitation is always to ask, what is it that I can do that is a small enough step that will move me towards one day being able to record myself and post it, right? So, say for example, if you were doing Instagram, and if Instagram was your channel of communication with your tribe and how you want to generate revenue or fame, whatever it is for you, what I would do is I would ask, okay, can I post a reel without my face? Can I post a post without my face? And so at least what I've done is I've bypassed the idea of if my idea is good or if I can even post, right? Because you may not be freezing to post, you might be freezing to post because you just don't like how you look. So find out what's the problem, what's the actual gap in your subconscious that's creating you this friction that is not allowing you to do the thing that you really want to do, and then move one step closer to it by doing a tiny step. Like a tiny step. A carousel post could be one, just a written post could be one. It could just be, just one of those reels where it's just text on it, but there's nothing really a video behind it. Whatever that is, find your rhythm, get yourself moving, do the tiny steps so you can take the big leaps later. The fourth question that I get is, Ajit, there's so many things I can do in business. What do I do first? And the answer would change based on the size of your business. So the answer I'm going to give you is more for newer coaches under $1 million in revenue a year, right? So if you're doing under $1 million in revenue a year, this is the three filters that you're going to have to be able to know what to do first in your business. The first filter is, does it make money? Does it make money? It's a very simple filter. Don't do anything that does not make you money, because the business that does not exist a year from now is the business that didn't make any money, right? You might be switching niches, you might be switching contracts, you might be switching businesses, you might be going for the next business idea again and again and again. And it's not because you were making money in them, it's because you didn't make any money in them. If you don't make money, you quit the fastest, right? Because there's a point where you're like, I can't afford this anymore, right? So the first answer always is, does the action that I'm about to take right now make me money? If the answer is no, don't take the action. Don't waste your time on it. Only do activities that generate income immediately. I give a business about 6 months to 12 months. If it does not generate money in that time frame, I know the coach is about to lose motivation. I know the business owner is about to lose motivation. So I would rush them to figure out how we can make some money almost immediately. So that's the first filter. The second filter is this interesting? Is this engaging for you? Are you growing when you are doing this? See, once you have crossed the threshold of money, the second biggest reason people quit businesses is because it becomes mundane. It becomes something that they could do in their sleep. And so they stop growing in the business. And when you stop growing in your business as a person, you start disengaging with the business. And that's not what you want, because that's the point when growth is easier for you to do. So, second question to ask yourself is, whatever you're doing right now, does it help you grow as a person or as a business, or something that stimulates you intellectually so you can stay engaged in the business? Is it engaging? Is it entertaining for you? And if that's not the case, then do the things that entertain you, that engage you, that help you grow. And which brings me to the third filter. And the third filter is this fun, right? At the end of it, we are doing this or building a career because it's fun. If you were to do the things that were boring and mundane, you would keep the jobs that we had. The reason why we quit the safe route is because we want to have fun with our life. We want to engage with this life. We want to have a great life. And so my invitation for you is to ask, what are the fun activities that you're doing in your business? How are you keeping your business fun and entertaining for you so you can stay engaged with the business? So three filters. The first one is, does it make money? The second one is, does it help you grow? And third is it fun? The fifth question that I get is, I don't know how to get more leads for my business. And the challenge most often that I've seen is the reason why people struggle with how do I get more leads for my business is because they start looking at someone that is 5 or 10 steps ahead of them, someone very, very successful, and they go, I want their system of getting leads. So somebody might look at me and go, Ajit does these YouTube videos, it has an Instagram account, it has a LinkedIn account, it has a email list, it works with in partnership with Mindvalley, it goes and speaks on stages. I should do all of it for me to be able to also get the leads that Ajit gets. Well, the thing that you forget, often somebody who is this successful and has these many systems is because they've done 10, 15 years of work before it. And when they started, they didn't have all these channels. They probably had just one of the channels, and most likely that channel was the easiest channel they could use at that time. And now they have maybe 5 systems, 10 systems of getting leads. But initially, when they started, they had one system of lead. And they used that one system lead to build enough revenue, enough traction that they build a second system of leads, and then the third and the fourth and the fifth. So, first thing to note is don't follow the system of a successful person. Don't look at them and go, they are doing it, so I can do it too. You don't know the backstory. You don't know how they got to have so many systems. They don't know what their revenue model is. And all you're doing is projecting your little understanding of their really complicated life and thinking that, oh, you can pull it off. My invitation instead is find the easiest system you can create to get your first few leads. Let me explain. When I started my coaching business, my system of getting leads was talking to people. I would go to events that were relevant for the audiences that I wanted to enroll, for clients that I wanted to enroll, and I just went to those events and spoke to people. And as I spoke to people, I learned their problems, I learned their challenges, and then I started developing solutions for their problems and challenges. The next time I would meet them, I would kind of present the solution of the challenges that they're experiencing. And then I would end up getting into a meaningful coaching conversation with them. And if I did my job correctly in that coaching conversation, I would either book an intensive or a year-long coaching contract. Very simple. Go talk to people. Now, I'm not saying that is going to be your system, but understand that that's the system, that's the simplicity of system that one must have when they're starting. They must know who they're talking to, where do they hang out, and if they hang out there, can I somehow go hang out at the same place where they hang out so I can actually engage with them in a conversation, so I can further understand their problems and then eventually present them the solutions and qualify myself as the person who can actually genuinely solve that problem for them. And if I could do that again and again, well, I have a coaching business. And that's the same for you. You have a coaching business till the time you have the right audience looking at you at the right time and you offering the right solution to them or being the right person for them. The sixth question that I get is, Ajit, I have so many ideas, I get overwhelmed. And this would be a hard pill to swallow, but if you're getting overwhelmed because you have a lot of ideas, is because probably you're not good at any of it. You're not necessarily good at any particular pursuit, or you're not excellent at some particular thing. And that's when you have a lot of ideas. Because when you become really good at something, when you're a master of something, you become a master of saying no. You say no way more than you say yes. So when somebody gives an idea to you, you go, no. Somebody gives you another idea, or you get an idea from some feed or some Instagram or LinkedIn post, you look at it, you go, interesting, and then you say no. Because excellence creates a strong filter for anyone. You know what you are, you know what you're good at, you know what you want to get good at. And because of that, everything else is a no, right? So if you feel like you are constantly overwhelmed because you have so many ideas, it's because you've gotten to a place where you're dabbling in all these ideas, but you're not necessarily getting good at any of them. So you start, stop, right? And see if this is your pattern. Like you go, okay, I took this Instagram course, I got really decent at it, and then I stopped because it wasn't working for me. Then I took the LinkedIn course, and then I did this, and then I stopped. And then I took the course of doing small events, and I started doing this, and then I stopped, right? That's called dabbling. That's not called getting excellent at something. Getting excellent at something is saying, hey, I want to get really good at video. I'll take some coaching there. Oh, I'm not that good. Let me get a course on this. And then, oh, maybe I should go to an event on this. Maybe I should get a more senior coach on it. And then eventually what you find is, oh, I'm really excellent at it. When somebody says, maybe you should write, you go, no, I'm good at video. I will do video. I don't have to write. Right. So that's kind of how dabbling and excellence really works. So instead of feeling overwhelmed with all these ideas, ask these questions to yourself. The first question that I want you to ask yourself is, what are you genuinely good at? What are you excellent at? From what you know of yourself, or maybe ask your friends and they might be able to tell you, or colleagues, what are you actually good at? If you go, okay, I'm naturally good at these things, but they're not necessarily monetizable skills, the second question to ask is, what do you want to get good at? Right? Because skill is a skill. You can develop it. It is scientific, but it's repeatable and can be done. So, second question to ask is, what do you want to get good at? Once you go, this is what I'm good at, this is what I want to get good at, ask yourself, what would I have done if I was already good at it? Right? This will give you the training path, the coaching path, the event path, whatever the path is that you must follow now to get really good at it. And that will bring you to the final question, which is, am I willing to give myself a 6-month chance to get really good at it? 6 months is a bare minimum time that you need to get good at anything. Sometimes it takes years before you get good at something, right? But 6 months, give yourself 6 months of not overwhelming yourself, 6 months of not dabbling, 6 months of just pure focus that every single day you show up and you do the thing that you said you're gonna do and get good at it. And when you get good at it, you will go, damn, I'm so good at it. Why should I do anything else? And you will see that you'll stop dabbling. You'll see that you will actually stop doing all this crazy thing and overwhelm yourself. You'll see that a lot of ideas will just look like terrible ideas to you and you'll never implement them. And you'll only choose the ones that give you the maximum outcome for the least amount of effort, because that's what mastery is all about. Which brings me to the seventh question, which is, who should I hire first in my coaching business? When you think about your coaching business, often people think of it as solopreneurs, which is like, I am the business. And that sometimes becomes the constraint because it's very hard to replace you. So I want you to actually start to think about your business as a business and you're as one of the first employees of the business, right? So instead of thinking about, oh, this is my business, I am the business, think about business and you as two different entities, right? So what will happen with that is you'll go, okay, a business needs a structure. It can't just be one person doing everything, right? So what you start to dissect is everything that you do right now is actually a set of complicated steps or complicated tasks. And each of the tasks is actually an organizational role in this organization that is called a business. So, for example, when you prospect clients, is that a role for the founder coach or is that a role for a salesperson? When you reply to emails from customers, is that a role for you as the founder, CEO of the company, or a customer support person? When you are going back and forth trying to figure out a time to talk to your client, is that an assistant's job or your job? Based on every time you go, okay, these are different things that I do in a day, and each of these could be a task or a set of tasks done by a different person, you create an organizational role in the company. More often than not, for coaches, the first role that they create is assistant because they take a lot of time in replying to emails. They usually are high touch, so they need somebody personal to be connecting, and they have a lot of scheduling and payment follow ups and so on and so forth. And so, for the first task that you'll create is probably an assistant. The second task might be a website. If you also have some online programs, online checkout systems, and so forth, you might say, okay, I need maybe a tech person or a tech team that runs my website and all my online ecosystem. If you are somebody who creates clients through social media, YouTube, or different channels, the third role you might be looking at is a social media person, a YouTube person, an Instagram person, a LinkedIn person. Ask yourself all the things that you do and see which of those tasks are actually a whole job role. Initially, you might hire part time, but eventually, these roles, as your business grows, will also become full time. So, if you're thinking about who to hire first ask yourself, what are the different roles that are in your organization that you are currently fulfilling? And now, once you have these roles, once you go, okay, I need an assistant, I need a customer support person, I need a social media manager. Now look at your net income and see a per hour comparative of these roles on any online platform. So, say, for example, if you're like, hey, I want to hire a customer support person, what's an hourly rate for a customer support person, say, in America, right? It might be $10 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever it might be. Now, see, if you're making more than $20 an hour, you probably can afford to pay somebody $20 an hour to be able to do all of the customer support that you currently are doing because it saves you time. It allows you to do higher value tasks. So ask yourself that question and you will find that now you can hire your first person. So this math can keep working as much and as far as you want. You can go ahead and find out exactly what are the different roles, what are different pay scales for these different roles, and see which of these roles are now not lucrative for you to do and you probably should outsource it to a different team member. The eighth question I get is coaching a saturated market? I see coaches everywhere. Now, before we get into the answer of it, let's understand what a saturated market is. Saturated market would be if one of these two conditions are true. The first condition would be that everybody knows what the product is and everybody's using it. It's like the phone market, right? Everybody has a smartphone in today's time, or so much of the population has a smartphone that you would call it a saturated market to start with. Same as for cars. There's so many users of cars and so many cars that are already there. People know what the car is, they have different choices. That's a saturated market. But what would that mean for coaching is that everybody has a coach, or at least 80% of the world has a coach. Now, I don't think that's true. So that criteria doesn't qualify us for saturated market. Second way of saturating a market is more personal. It's basically saying, I am so exposed, I am so well known that anybody that would potentially be my customer knows about me. Right. Now, I would argue that's not true for me, and I am one of the more famous coach trainers in the world. So it's definitely not true for you too. So that also probably is not true. The reason why you think the market is saturated is because you're spending too much time on social media. And when you spend too much time on social media, you tend to look at stuff that you're interested in more and more. And guess what stuff you would be interested in? Well, you're a coach. You will be interested in personal development. You will be interested in coaching. So guess what material these platforms serve you more? Coaching, personal development, how to have higher performance, basically stuff that you're interested in, you see more and more of. And because you see more and more of it, you think, well, that must be all of it. And so you feel it's a saturated market. It's not a saturated market. It's far from a saturated market. It's a market that is, if anything, just getting started. Less than 5 to 10% of the world is really exposed to the idea of coaching. It's just starting to get traction. Coaching is nowhere close to being saturated. The feeling of it comes from social media, from us looking at the profiles of people that might be in the space, but they're nowhere close to how many people who need the services of coaching. And we get to learn about it more and more as we go out in the world and we talk to people. Which brings me to the final question, and that is, sometimes I am drained in the middle of the day. How can I keep more energy? And this is probably one of the most important questions, because when you are working with clients, often as you're giving so much, as you're engaging so much, as you're receiving so much, sometimes you're feeling in their energy into your body. What tends to happen is we feel drained. We feel like we have no energy left towards the end of the day. And so I invite you to find personal practices that allow you to maintain this energy. I'll tell you some of them that work for me, but I would really invite you to consider really taking a deeper dive into it. First is do smaller chunks of work. See, a lot of us have this habit of going for 10, 12 hours straight. And when you go for such a long period of time in straight one go, we tend to deplete energy, and the later half of the day becomes really, really unproductive. It's not high quality. My invitation is do no more than 45 minutes at a time, maybe an hour if you're talking to a client, but that's pretty much it. And then give yourself at least 15 to 20 minutes to rejuvenate. Rejuvenation happens because of movement of body. It happens because of dance. It can happen because of music. It can happen because of some activity that rejuvenates you. Because what we're really looking for here is a restart of our day, a restart of our energy system, so we can be at the same energy level as we were, as if it was morning for us. Right. The second thing is consider adding movement in your day, middle of the day, starting of the day, end of the day, whatever you feel is right for you, as an energy management mechanism. See, a lot of us have this association of gym and workout as I must do and I must grind myself and I must get really tired. What I've found is that if you do it right and you do it for the right purposes, movement actually gives you energy. And it might be different for different people. Some people might appreciate yoga, some people might like the gym, some people might like, something else. These are all okay till the time they are energy giving, not energy taking. So do energy giving activities and you will find that you rejuvenate your energy and then you can do more with your life. The third thing is what I call the review and the preview. Review and preview allows you to be able to engage in activities that are actually useful for you on a weekly basis. Every week, what I would do with my team or with myself, depending on what project we're working on, is I would review the last week. I would go, okay, what is it that went well last week? And then we would preview if we are doing more of such things next week. right? So if last week was a great week, I try to go, okay, how can we replicate most of it in the next week so we can keep progressing instead of doing any regressive activities. And that allows me to stay more present in the energies of every single day. If my calendar system's not working out, I try to figure out a better calendar system. If my team's not working out, I try to come up with a better team structure. If my energy is not working out, I try to find out what is it that depleted me that day. And I try to change that in the coming week. So review your week and preview your week and see there's most alignment of high value activities that give you energy from the last week going on to the next week. And lastly is what I called quiet time. Fridays are my quiet time. This is the entire day is dedicated to anything that is unfinished. An open tab, for example, like an open tab is when I want to do something, I want to finish it. For some reason, I couldn't finish it. It drains the crap out of me. And I'm sure it's true for you too. It's true for a lot of people where if we have unfinished business, it drains us more than anything else. And so I find myself being really, really drained if I have unfinished business. And so I really like to close my tabs. And so I keep one day in my week where it's mostly about spillover activities, any conversations I want to have that does not necessarily in the meeting or in the schedule, any client work I want to do that I feel like I want to practice and train for, anything creative that I want to express. These are just quiet times. These are creative quiet times where I don't have any meetings. I have no agenda. These are just for me to invest as much energy I want to invest that day in being better for my clients, being better for myself, being better generally as a person, look at my systems, look at what's been happening in the business, any spillovers that I have to take care of, any tabs I need to close. I take care of all of that business. And it gives me so much energy because I have no open tabs. So see if open tabs or unfinished business is taking away energy from you. And if that's the case, maybe that's one of the practices that you want to have, which is to have a quiet day every single week or a spillover day for every single week so you can close all those open tabs. These are 9 questions that I've heard most often. I try to answer all of them with a system and a process that you can follow. If there's any particular question that you have in your mind that you would like me to address, that would like me to give a system for, go ahead and type in the comment section below so I can, in my next video, whenever I make the next set of questions, I can answer those questions for you so you can find these tools useful and be able to continue to create your dream life.